Good morning. Wow. I hope God's heart is with us today. Do you know where January comes from? Why the name January? No, William can't answer. It's from the god Janus. He had two faces. One looks back in the past, and one looks to the future. It's beautiful, isn't it? For January? Yeah. And I find whenever there's a new year, it means we have another chance to make things right. New possibilities and so many new opportunities. I find it very interesting, the month of January. A brother called me, emailed me a few weeks ago from another country, and he was telling me that he's giving up on the Unification Church. And my response was, but we made a promise. We made a promise. I remember in Belvedere or in the New York ballroom how many times we raised our hands, promising to parents that we would go this way or we would do this, even we lose our life. And why I choose this, I'm so sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. Why I choose this True Parents address, True Fathers address to the blessed couples. I was in it. I was in this new Madison Square Garden, and I raised my hand and I pledged to just that, to have an impact on future generations. And I have to remind myself very often, because it's not easy. You have no clue how often I wanted to give up. So I reminded this brother of our promise. And we made this promise. So we were 2,075 couples. That meant over 4,000 brothers and sisters. There were thousands of spectators. They witnessed our promise. So we can't let God and our true parents down. More than also, we can't let our ancestors down. They watched us and they heard the promise. I know it is very, very difficult actually to keep a promise. When we have to leave our children, or when we face persecution, or when we think the sacrifices are too big, or when we do fundraising and then these beautiful properties will be bought and we saw the result and then they're going to be sold. That can be difficult for many to keep the promise, or maybe to be mistreated or misunderstood. Very difficult to keep a promise. Or when your physical family turns against you. Or when you start having health problems because you think you worked so hard. And for our younger generation, they have to tackle huge, big world problems, issues. How can they keep the promise? Every day they're overloaded with social media, with advertisement, endless comparison with other people. It's more than ever. So how can these young people keep the promise? And then the social media is trying to manipulate their minds, our minds. It's very difficult, I know. I worked with very challenging 16-year-olds, very badly beaten up quite often or money stolen. And my family asked me, get out, you need to get out. Why are you staying? And you know why? True Father told us in Belvedere, you have to shine like diamonds in the darkest places, even in a garbage can. And I promised. I raised my hand. So how can I leave these very damaged people who are trying to damage me? How can I leave them? I needed to see some light in them before I left. I made that promise. But it was difficult. There was another. I made many promises in my work. You know, another time I worked with, in a service I was managing, one of them she couldn't talk. She was extremely challenging. Please stay with me while I'm telling you this. It has a meaning. She would destroy chairs, or this table would go down very quickly. Some of us had hairs thrown out, and we always had a spare of clothes with us because she would rip them. And one morning when I came, 2 members of staff were totally destroyed. She destroyed her whole apartment, the TV from the wall, her wardrobe, everything. And I told my team, I'm going in. Usually we don't go in because we don't know what happens. So I went in, and I just stood there. And I told Anna, I said, Anna, I'm so sorry. We have failed you. We don't understand your needs. So, but I promise you, I will find a way to make it better. Please understand, she doesn't understand. She doesn't speak. So that makes it even more difficult to know what's going on. After that, you know what she did? She done that. So I put my hands on top. We stood there for 10 minutes, and because she can't talk, she hums. And while we were doing this, she told me all her problems. All her pain came out. And you could feel that. That evening, I didn't go home. I used the last 3 months of daily records of her, put them on the floor, trying to identify what have we overlooked, what have we not understood, when was it? Was it after the medication? Does she need a medication review? Who was on shift that day? Maybe she doesn't like a certain member of staff. What activities did she do? What food did she eat? I went through the whole lot of the last 3 months, and I made a chart. And I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find the answer. So I had a team meeting, and I represented that to my team. I asked them, do you have any clue? Maybe you can help me, you know. And the director of the company walked in, and he heard what I had to say. So I asked her, can I please have a speech therapist and an occupational therapist? Oh dear. They observe you with microscopes for 2-3 days. Check what you're doing wrong, what you have to do better. It's tough. It was tough on us. We had to be very humble and swallow what they had to tell us, what we done wrong, what we have to do better. And I thought, oh, that's okay, we can do that, we can do that. And then my manager called me and said, I enrolled you at the Birmingham University to do a course on behavior. I thought, oh, it's exciting. I like learning. So 3 days I went up. We were sitting all in a circle, and everybody the teacher introduced himself. He was a professor, doctor. And I thought, oh my God, I hope I understand him, because lecturers have their own language. And then the other staff, the other participant introduced himself. I wanted to leave the room because they were also quite established professionals, and I was here, this little manager for a few homes who want an answer. So I thought, okay, I just stay. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. That was such a high intellectual language. In the evening, couldn't wait to go to the hotel. I called my boss and I told her, how dare you, don't you ever send me to something like this. You're wasting your money. This is ridiculous, I don't understand a thing. She didn't give in, she said, you stay. And I thought, this is just ridiculous. So I called my family and I complained to them. And they said, well, just stay. And I, what? So, and then I calmed down a little bit, and then I realized I made a promise to that girl. So I took Mr. Google out to find make some sense of some of those things, and got through. And the next day I did the same, and the next day. And we had to pass a test. We had to come back to do a case study, come back in 2 months, and in front of some other professors, we had to prove our case and how are we going to solve it. I passed. Why I'm telling you that is sometimes we need help with our promise. We need help from other brothers and sisters. Do you know how often I went home to my physical family because I had enough? But there were brothers and sisters who believed in me, and they got me back. The story of Joseph from the Bible. He had to face huge hardship. His brothers hated him. They wanted to kill him. They wanted to sell him. He turned that around into a blessing. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Oh, by the way, that Anna, it helped. We worked together as a team and it worked. So, Joseph didn't seek revenge. He stayed true to himself and he changed his situation into a blessing. And that helped his family again. Jordan, am I loud enough? Gordon? Am I loud enough, Gordon? Oh, yeah. Can you make it louder on? No. Lately, I read a story about a Corporal Andy Reid. He was standing on a Taliban landmine, lost 2 legs and an arm. And that was just a few days before his return to the UK from Afghanistan. So his parents came to the hospital, crying, feeling sorry for him. He got very angry and said, "Don't pity me and don't see me as a victim. I signed up for that. I knew what I'm going into it." And so are we. We signed up for our way of life. We knew what we're going into. He writes books. He visits other soldiers to support them spiritually, mentally. He opened a coffee shop. He raised money, lots of money, and he's married and has a son. So, normal life. Don't play a victim. It's easy to say, I know. There's another one I admire very much, and I know David had heard that story before. The world's greatest living explorer. Oh my goodness, I read his books. It's Sir Ranulph Fiennes. He climbed Mount Everest, he crossed the Antarctic and the Arctic Ocean. He raised over 18 million for charities. He made important, good morning, Sibivi. He made important, significant documents about the Arctic life, and these findings are still so valuable for our scientists today. He came to Colchester. Oh, by the way, he himself saw off his frostbitten fingers and his toes. He was so determined to get through there. He had 13 attempts of resuscitating his heart. And he's suffering from great health. You would think after his knighthood by the Queen, he lives in a beautiful house, he has a limousine, comfortable house. He came to Colchester to give a slide show and a talk about his journeys into the Antarctic. And he told us that he can't afford a hotel. He slept in a parking lot in his old Ford Mondeo. Is he resentful? No. It was his calling. He wanted to do that. He signed up for that. My children went to St. Lawrence School, and I wanted to find out what is St. Lawrence all about. At that time, the Romans occupied Great Britain, and the Roman soldiers would come to churches and take away silver and gold and whatever treasure there was. So they came to his church, and they asked for the treasure. And he said, "Oh, you have to come back on Sunday. I don't have it with me." So they came back on Sunday, the Roman soldiers, and he was preaching in front of the congregation. The Roman soldiers marched in and said, "Okay, give us your treasure." And St. Lawrence said, that's my treasure," pointing at the congregation. Of course, he was burned. They weren't happy with his result. But There is more to it, but that's the story. And I want to say that you are the treasure of our church. You are the pillows. You kept the promise. You are still here. And thank you for that. Thank you. We cannot let resentments or bad feelings control us, because that is not the way how we live. We are part of something much bigger than ourselves. True parents gave us a compass, so we can overcome, as it said here, the hardship, when hardship hits. We can change hardships into a blessing, like Joseph did, or this corporal, or Ronald Fiennes. We are not victims. We promise to be shapers, and we promise to be creators of something much, much better. You know, a Native American granddad, Indian American granddad, took his grandson for a walk. And after a while he said, "Do you know there are two wolves fighting in us? One is angry, resentful, jealous, feels superior, seeks revenge, is hateful, greedy, arrogant, spreads lies. The other wolf is kind, caring, has courage, integrity, love, trustworthy, compassion, honest, and seeks peace." They walked on, and after a while, the grandson asked, "Who wins? Who wins the fight?" Which the granddad replied, "The one you feed. The one we feed." Reverend Libby Lane, she is a bishop of Church of England, the very first female bishop ever in the UK. Her ordination, is that the right word, was met with great resistance by fellow bishops. They refused to lay the hand on her. They even shouted out while she were preaching in the congregation how they reject her. Do you think this hostility happens in our church, where fingers are pointing at? How she survived, she was asked the question, "How did you cope?" And she said, "Because I had a calling, and because I know God is with me, and that makes me strong." I always wonder if negativity or bad feelings help any of our ancestors. What do they need? They don't need. They need to feel that we really work for peace, unity, and love. In order to be liberated, they need to have that from us. And what does it help us? And what does it help our descendants? if we carry those feelings. It's not God's language. When I had to do appraisals and supervision with my boss, it was beautiful because she really wanted me to develop, and she told me where I have to improve, where I am not good at yet. I learned a lot. But, do you know what? She turned it around and she asked me, now you tell me what I have to improve. What a leader. It's amazing. I learned a lot from her. I had a 20-year-old staff member. She very feisty, and I had her for a year, and then she came to my office and said, Inga, I want to apply for an area manager, which is higher than I was. Do you think I can do that? I said, yes, you can. But I want you need to know something, so I want you to lead the next team meeting. I want you to lead the next multi-agency meeting, with social workers, doctors, and everyone. And because you need proof that you can do the job. And I want you to do a mental health assessment, and I want you to do this, and then go for it. She got it. So it's wonderful that we help our young people to be better than us. She definitely is better than me. Was I jealous? No, I was proud. I was part of it. So, through Mother, I remember that so well. We left in '92 to Korea, but before we left, True Mother came to Frankfurt. She went on a tour in Europe, and in Frankfurt, that was most amazing. She said, we're entering a new era. We're entering the heart, the realm of the heart. And how she described it, it was so amazing. And I was so relieved. No more judging, no more finger pointing. Everything we approach, any problem, with heart. She said that. What did she say last year in 2022? Almost the same. So we really have to hurry up. Our offspring is lost if we don't care for them. Give them your utmost support, she said. Second gen should take the lead to build God's nation, True Father said. True Mother said, culture of heart, working together, sincere sharing, meaning, if there is something wrong, share it, be honest. Create a spiritual atmosphere like in the beginning of our original church, true love. Strengthen and nurture the younger generation. Use your own initiative without always being told by true parents what to do. Recently, I was in Livingston House, and a brother spoke to me, and he was extremely angry and resentful. And when I asked him when this happened, he said 7 years ago. So, please, if you meet anybody who has all this anger or envy or resentments in them, please help them. Give them a hug, spiritually or physically, but please help them. Or ask what we could do to help them, to get rid of those feelings. That's not our language. That's not what we stand for. A couple who meant well with us came to our house. And they told us a story how horrible. They felt totally overwhelmed how some brothers and sisters were so angry about some people. And they thought that could never be. Let's just be sincere, honest. Let's be kind. Speak the truth with kindness, but help them. That's a promise we made to build a better world. God wants to rejoice through you. Therefore, remove the aspects of fallen nature, such as hatred, jealousy, envy, and arrogance. True Father. We know that the Unification Church goes through stormy periods. Satan attacks our members everywhere. If we turn around and attack in the same way, using the same methods, no one will win. Be a friend to good and evil people, but never become reconciled with evil. Rather, act as a magnet to turn others around to the good side. That's what we signed up for, and that's what we promised. I sometimes ask myself, is it important that all of us climb the mountain to reach the summit from the south side? Is it possible, just possible, that maybe some of us want to climb the mountain to the summit from the north, or from the west, or from the east, depending where their calling is coming from and where their abilities are coming from? As long as we have in our heart the goal to reach God's ideal, God's plan, God's providence, to reach the summit. Okay, so, do you know what True Father did when he was persecuted and judged in America? He went over to the first thing he did, he went over to the persecutor and shook his hand. He gave us so many examples. The newspapers, oh my goodness, they were full of so much bad stuff about true parents. What did he do? He invited them to a banquet. Little angel, their performance. And then he showed them why he is them, or why he is talking about things. He had them for 1 week. I was there at the World Media Conference, or fact-finding tours. Very smart. He tried to change them around. I think he fed the right wolf. Really, my last thing. Do you know snow leopards? Snow leopards, they have their children for 2 years. They play with them, and they teach them everything they know. And then they have to go. The wild geese, they show the young ones how to go to warmer countries, but they also show them how to come back to their original home. That's what we have to do. That's what we promised through Mother. We support our second gen to always find their original home, God. We promised. when I read The Snow Leopard, I thought of True Father when he said in 1982, "So, I have done my 21-year course. Now it's your turn to you to your 21-year course. Everything you do from now on is your responsibility." Isn't this the same like, I taught you everything I know, now go and do and succeed? Isn't that beautiful? That he gave us this trust. So, I finished. He said, "I never want to feel that you are just following my instruction, but rather you have really perfected yourself in the image of God on your own initiative." That's so beautiful. To our younger generation, if anyone listens, you have the incredible opportunity to reshape mindsets, to empower people around you. Find solutions in those hurricanes which coming your way. You will find solutions. Confidently voice your opinion because you have values. Don't wait for solutions. Take actions. Create better and greater ways of living together. And dare to be the greatest generation we ever have seen. Just go. Okay. Let's make a promise. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope it wasn't too strong. Thank you.